I've got the last element of my new Mark 3 or is it 4 engine mounting solution. To explain the left-hand engine mounting for the AJ30 as fixed onto the Jaguar S-Type, the left-hand one includes the oil filter takeoff. Now the oil filter on the S-Type goes backwards from where it's on the block, ends up in there somewhere, completely in the way in this car, right where the exhausts and things go and the bulkhead, and it's a disaster. So I've remade it. I've remade the mounting, but I had to incorporate the takeoff for the oil filter, which is remote. So I've had now 3 goes at devising that, and my recent modification is in order to simplify the hose connections, which previously were on a sandwich plate. Let me get that. Which previously were on a sandwich plate. This is the sandwich plate. So this thing fixes onto the side of the block, capped off by this so-called mushroom, and the hoses for the remote oil filter come out the back and go off to the remote oil filter. But I've changed that, so for a different form of this, where the hose takeoffs actually come out forwards, and it doesn't use this at all. It uses a different type of thing. But as part of that, I had problems with the oil leaks, and that's one of the reasons. But as part of that, I now need to change one of the oil unions, because another possible cause of my oil leak was the fact that I had to modify one of these, which screws on with an adapter, but it screws on like this, to get a sharper than 90-degree bend on it. And now of course I don't need that, so I'm reverting to an unmodified, unwelded, and therefore definitely unleaky. This one, but the other one may not be. So that's what I'm going to swap out. So it's just in here somewhere. I shall just go and take the wheel off then. So here's my oil union, which you can see is welded. Anyway, I don't need that anymore, and the hose is longer than I need it to be. Oh well, looks like my hose fittings were too big, so I'll have to order some new ones. Back in a few days. Alright, so now I've got the correct size oil union, which goes in there. Now I just need to screw that on to the adapter. So there it is. That's a lot neater than before. So we'll see how it works then. For a while now I have had some problems with oil leaks. Now if you come down here you'll be able to see something like the extent of it. That's a pretty big leak pouring out, and I've discovered what the problem is. I had kind of thought it was to do with my engine mounting, which, if you know these S-Type AJ30 engines, the engine mounting involves where the oil filter goes on, and I had kind of assumed that that's what the problem was, but I changed all that, updated it a little while ago, but it still leaks, as I discovered after firing up for the first time for ages. However, I have now discovered what the problem is, and the problem is this thing. It is a oil pressure sensor, and of course there's an adapter involved, because the thread on the actual sensor is 1/8 NPT, and the one on the side of the block, with the original one, albeit the end's broken off, is this thing. Now, the oil pressure sensor screws on to the adapter. It's in common, it's a pretty standard thread for these electronic pressure sensors. It's a relatively small thing. There it is, and that is 1/8 NPT, which is a tapered thread. But as I mentioned, the original thing, albeit the end's broken off, is a lot bigger. Make a comparison. Big difference in size. So I think this thing here is actually 3/8 NPT. Again, a threaded thread. And I was using this adapter, which goes on, as we saw, and it goes in the hole on the engine block, as we saw, but it's loose. Oil has been pouring out round the sides of this thing, as we saw that great big lake on the floor. So I thought, I know, I'll put some sealant around it, screw it back in the hole. But I discovered that you can screw it all the way in and it never tightens up. And I hope the reason for that is because basically it's quite short, isn't it? It's quite a short thread. Certainly wasn't even enough for me to put some Teflon tape around it. There's just not enough of it. So anyway, I've got a feeling, hope, that is my problem. It's too small. So I've bought a replacement, and as you can see, it's a lot longer. Much more thread, more than twice the amount of thread on it. And again, it will screw on here. And I hope this one will seal properly. So here's the new adapter screwed on, and I'm now going to screw this in the side of the block, and hopefully it will tighten up this time. Are you focusing? Hopefully this arrangement will work. And so here we have our sensor now plugged in the side of the block, and we'll see if it leaks like it did, or indeed at all. Certainly a lot snugger. So here we have it. It's idling, maybe a bit on the rough side, not too bad. But the most important thing is no oil leaks. The oil leaks have stopped. Nothing. Looking at the ground, nothing. Everything connected. Apart from that wire that just fell down. But yay! So my oil containing engine mounting is fine. Let's see if I can get it close up. So there is the engine mounting itself. It was leaking there, I think, originally, and that is now sorted. And the oil pressure gauge is now sorted as well. And on top of that, no water leaks. So, it's taken a long time to get to this point, but we now have an engine setup that, reverse gear aside, I could actually take out. Excellent news. If you got as far as this, thanks very much for watching, and in case you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. That would be really encouraging for me. So catch you on the next one.